Chapter 1. Ren Worthington is a pus-filled boil on the buttocks of society. That's what I'd stupidly written inside the back cover of my trigonometry book. The very book that was not in my backpack. If I didn't find the book, I could dig my grave now. I'd be handing out ammunition and painting a target on my back. I'd end up like that kid who'd accidentally fallen into the school moat. And all he'd said was that Ren Worthington was no Justin Bieber. Not many of the other students at Edgewater Academy shared my thoughts on Ren Worthington. Most of them thought Ren Worthington was more like the sun shining out of society's buttocks. The absolute worst, most bully-attracting crime you could commit in this school was not considering Ren Worthington a god. Stay under the radar, don't attract attention. Be invisible. Those words had been my mantra for the past 2 years. I couldn't screw all that up now. I appended my backpack on my bed, hope in my heart that I just overlooked that book. 5 other textbooks, a ton of stationery, and a couple of overripe bananas, but no trig book. The hope in my heart died and left a nasty ache behind. Rushing to the wardrobe at the end of my bunk, I tripped over my shoes and kicked them across the room. It might be in there. It just might. Wishful thinking, since I'd just been using the book in math class 5 minutes ago. I pulled out my clothes, my shoes, all my meager possessions. Nope. Nothing. The dull ache in my stomach grew. I'd left it in the classroom. And I needed to find it. Now. Before someone else did. I raced from the dorm. Cherry. My dorm mate Polly yelled. Clean up that mess before you go. Later. A messy dorm meant black marks for all of us, but right now I had more pressing issues. Before I hit the back stairs, I stopped, cursed under my breath, and ran back to the dorm. I'd been halfway through changing out of my uniform, and still only wore a bra on top. I threw on a t-shirt and my favorite hoodie, then opened the drawer and swept all the mess off my bed. I'd sort it out later. I stumbled down the stairs. Tripped. Grabbed the handrail before I went flying. Lucky. I needed luck. I needed all the luck in the world. If I found that book, I'd rip off the back cover. Shred it and destroy it. I'd never let my thoughts leave my head and take material form again. In my head, they were safe from prying eyes. I must have left my book sitting on my desk or under my desk or somewhere near my desk, and I needed to get it back before anyone else found it. I had 10 minutes to find it, save my life, and get to the meeting. Being late would get me another black mark, one for every minute. Too many black marks meant expulsion, and I skated way too close to that edge as it was. Where the heck had I put that book? Why the heck had I put those words into writing in the first place? Frick. Frack. Bollocks. The book wasn't on my desk or in the shelf under it. PMS, that's why. PMS combined with Ren's stupid face. The Ren fangirls at this school called his face a national treasure. More like the face you see on a wanted poster, a face with the cold eyes of a serial killer. I had no idea what they saw in him. I guess having bottomless pits of money made anyone more attractive. The last straw had been the sneer on that national treasure face. I'd been called up to answer a question on the board. I didn't ask to be called up, did everything I could to avoid it. It wasn't my fault Ren had tried and failed. I'd been tempted to fail myself, just make one tiny error. Stay under the radar. But my hand didn't obey, and I'd got it perfectly correct. A sneer from Ren Worthington could cause 100 annoying bullying tactics from his stupid minions. Anything from being tripped over in the dining room with a tray full of food, to having nasty surprises dumped in your bed. Ren didn't even have to lift a hand to make my life hell. He might not be smart at math, but when it came to getting others to do his bidding, Ren was a genius. I searched under my desk in case the book had slid out of my backpack. But nope, no book under there. Blood hammered through my body. Maybe someone had seen it and set it on the shelf. I just stood up when I heard his voice in the hallway, as though my thoughts summoned him. That drawling voice everyone thought was so soothing and wonderful. Then someone else, higher pitched. Oscar. Probably both Blake and Oscar. The golden trio with Ren as their leader. Blake provided the muscle and Oscar? I'm not sure, maybe comic relief. They would not be heading in here. No way. But why were they even in this part of the school when classes were over? I jumped away from the shelves and slid back under the desk. I couldn't risk being seen. That crappy old desk might not provide adequate cover for most people, just a wooden top with spindly iron legs. For a fancy academy, we sure had low-rent classrooms. But that desk threw shadows, and I could hide in the shadows like no one else. That's how I'd survived a string of foster homes, that's how I survived at this school. I blended in, undetectable, becoming a shadow myself. The door creaked and my heart hammered. I folded the bulk of me up into as small a ball as possible, wrapping my hoodie over my knees, staying within the shadowy bounds. As a little kid, I thought I was just really good at hiding, like some kind of hide-and-seek genius. Eventually, I worked out it was more than that. A preternatural ability. A pretty lame one compared to the other scholarship kids, but it came in handy. Footsteps drew closer. What do you think? Oscar snickered. Ren snorted as though the question wasn't worth an answer. Come on, she's hot stuff. Surely you've considered it. Blake's voice put me on edge. Brittany. Disdain dripped from Ren's voice. Can you see me with a girl named Brittany? Commoners date girls named Brittany. They were discussing the new girl. But why do that in an empty classroom? You could call her by a nickname. Like Petal or Kitten. Ren snorted again. A nickname wouldn't disguise her lack of class. Is her hair color even real? And the way she dresses, too loud and attention-seeking. Another poor-as-dirt scholarship girl to mar the place. How that girl scored a scholarship, I'll never know. No brains, no breeding, no taste. Maybe she gave special favors to the scholarship committee, but she sure won't survive until graduation. I can read her future. Knocked up by 16, working as a pole dancer at a roadside strip joint to support her pile of brats by 20. I pressed my nails into my palms. Nothing about Brittany said she'd end up as a stripper. And no woman should be talked about like that. I wanted to slam my fist into his face. A right hook for looking down on women. A left for looking down on pole dancers. Another right for looking down on single moms. Rich kids like him never considered that when you had an empty belly, you played the cards you'd been dealt. So far, I'd only caught a glimpse of Brittany, but everyone had been talking about her. A new girl starting semester a week late made big news around here. She'd been waiting in the hallway outside a classroom. I didn't want to join the sea of faces staring at her, but when I turned my head, she showed none of that newbie awkwardness. I'd have been all beetroot red and avoiding stares, but Brittany beamed a smile and scrunched her hand into a tiny wave, like a beauty pageant winner. With her face, she'd be used to the attention. I picked her as a scholarship girl immediately. Her white blonde hair and pale skin already set her apart, but she had an ethereal beauty that said she wasn't fully human. She'd be at the meeting and I'd find out more. I wouldn't mind being the one to knock her up. Blake crossed the room, coming closer to me. I wouldn't want to plant my seed in her, but I'd pay good money for a lap dance. Oscar chuckled. Hey, Do I have to wait for her to get knocked up before she strips? Maybe I could offer her a few bucks now. Everyone knows those scholarship girls will do anything for money. I dug my nails in deeper. I held my breath. I wouldn't say a word, and I wouldn't swing my fist. The metal desk leg dug into my back and the wooden floor chilled my butt, but I'd stay here, perfectly still, until they left. At least she's better than the last one. Ren scoffed. Cherry Love, even her name is a joke. That girl lost her cherry a long time ago. Blood rushed to my head. I wanted to kill him for saying that. I'd fought long and hard to make sure none of those shitty foster dads got near my cherry. And I sure as hell didn't want Ren Worthington thinking about my girl parts. People laughed at my name all my life, but still it grated, especially from Ren Worthington. Great tits though. Oscar paused. What? Well, she has. Don't say you've never looked. I practiced the deep breathing exercises I'd learned in anger management class, not easy when you're trying to stay silent, and prayed those bastards would leave quick smart. I didn't have time for this, and why the hell were they hanging around in the math room anyway? You got it? Blake asked. Got what? Hopefully not my trig book. Their rich boy legs moved closer to the desk, all perfectly pressed pants with a dry cleaning smell still on them. No second-hand uniforms for them, no hanging your uniform over the radiator to get it dry for class the next day. Yeah, I've got it. Ren's laugh chilled me. Ren rummaged in his pocket and pulled something out. From my position under the desk, I had no idea if it was a bag of high-grade cocaine, an assault weapon, or his penis. Whoa, Oscar said. It could be a wad of Ren's belly button fluff, and Oscar would still be impressed. Everyone knew Oscar had a massive man crush on Ren. Put it away. Blake tapped the toe of one foot impatiently on the floorboards. If you get caught with that, not even your daddy's money will protect you. Something metal clinked on the floorboards. A ring rolled across the floor, landing way too close to my knee. Close enough to have me breaking out in a sheen of sweat. Even if they couldn't see me, if they got close enough to pick up the ring, they might hear me or sense the warmth of my body. Ren bent down, his face coming into view. I didn't blink. I didn't breathe. I tried to hold myself perfectly still. He reached out for the ring, his hand almost touching my knee. I couldn't pull away, not without risking exposing myself. For a second, his gaze locked onto mine. The usual coldness in his eyes turned to something else, they seemed to sparkle. I could swear he saw me, but that was impossible. Light hit the ring as Ren's fingers curled around it. My heart chilled. That ring. Farron Quiller's ring. Everybody knew his ring. He never took it off. Ever. Not when he showered, not when he slept. Not when they made us do those stupid cross-country time trials in the middle of winter, when everything got caked in mud. He got constantly teased. Take it off and give us a look, someone would say in almost every class. Farron didn't know my mantra. He didn't stay under the radar. But then everyone in this school had things from home, small mementos. I guess if you actually had a family, and that family cared about you, you'd want to think about them. Like my best friend Lucas with his wolf plushie that he hid in his wardrobe. I had nothing from my parents, nothing except a weird mark on my hip. Not a ring or a photo, not even a chewed-up plushie. Why did Ren have Farron's ring? I'd have to discuss this with Lucas in the meeting. The meeting that started in, yikes, 2 minutes time. I couldn't leave, not until Ren and his creepy friends did. The forest of legs around me moved away, but they hadn't left the room. What's so special about it? Oscar asked. Dude loves the heck out of that ring. Is it super valuable? Nothing. Ren's voice sounded flat. Nothing at all. It's cheap silver. Old but not expensive old. Maybe Farron was just a weird freak. No maybe about it. Blake laughed. We know that for sure. What are you going to do with it? Oscar asked. I didn't hear Ren's answer, just a muttering from the hallway. They'd left. I hoped. It could be a trap. Only when their footsteps echoed down the hallway did I climb out from under the desk. I could make it to the meeting in time, if I ran really fast. They definitely left, but, My trig book now sat on my desk. My stomach tightened as I picked it up. It hadn't been there before. Maybe it had been a trap. Maybe they'd seen me come into the classroom, followed me in and tried to be as offensive as possible, taunting me to lose my shit. Typical Ren trick. He'd report me to the principal, then put on his innocent face and be all, Cherry is scary and violent, then laugh as they escorted me off the school premises. Thank goodness for anger management. I gave myself 50 points for not falling for it, then grabbed my textbook. Before I fled, I couldn't resist flipping to the back. I needed to scrub out that line. But someone had already erased it. Society is a pus-filled boil on the buttocks of Ren Worthington, it now read. What the hell did that mean? No time to think. I had 1 minute to get across campus.